the hardest part, especially with a curved surface like this. I'm trying not to, I'm cutting through the top surface and the bottom surface at the same time, so I'm trying to go kind of slow. And I'm tapering my blade kind of inwards at the bottom, so my hole in the back will actually be smaller, but I want to do that so I don't end up cutting a weird shape out of the back later on. I don't want to have, I can't really repair it if I screw it up. Yeah, it's cutting up kind of strange, so. I usually have to cut these out in 2 steps. I have to cut out like a pre-cut, like what I'm doing right now, and then you can see I'm way inside the line. Double checking the inside, looks pretty good. Stuck. Oh, what's going on? Why is that stuck? There we go. Yep, the back looks horrible, but that's okay. At least this way I can kind of see now what's going on in the back, which looks really weird. Alright, I'm going to kind of do this now by sight. The blade doesn't want to go back to the, there we go. These aren't always this hard to cut out, but this one is, like I said, is a curved surface, so it makes it a little bit more difficult. Catch that in my lap. Okay. So that's kind of what the front looks like. The back looks kind of gross. But I'll get it. Okay, so you could cut little pieces. I'm going to stick feed it again. I've done it. I've stick feed enough that it doesn't really bother me. And like I said, this has so much solder all over it anyway. At this point, it doesn't really matter. I may feed some of it from the inside and some of it from the outside. I haven't quite decided yet. It doesn't matter what the inside of your ring looks like. Nobody's going to see any of it, so. And what I mean by inside is the voided areas that you create because this ring is hollow. So I might actually melt a little bit of this down in there. And then use my solder pick to Move it where I need it to be. That's kind of a good, gives me a good indication of when the solder's going to melt. I'm hitting my I started soldering this on the opposite side of the seam that's in the band because I want to make sure that I get everything soldered before that seam runs the risk of actually resoldering. I kind of try to solder on opposite sides of seams and stuff so I don't have that kind of problem. I actually am going to put a little bit, I think. I know it seems like a lot. Okay, so I think I got most of that side. The solder's stuck on my... Oops, screwed that up big time. Okay. Yikes. That was my fault. My heating tray is hitting my... I don't have a lot of room in here. Let me... Where are my copper tongs? Well, I don't really need copper tongs. I'm just going to flip this so it's stuck to my brick. Let go. Okay. I'm going to now... One side of this is still kind of flat. There. I'm going to go back and finish soldering this top part. I know it's really hot, but you got to learn how to kind of... I like to cool it down a little bit. Here's my good ones. So it's now soldered in here. I probably could have gone in and put more solder on the inside, but I think I have plenty. So the seams on the side did melt a little bit. I probably should have put yellow ochre or something over them to help protect them, but I can see there's still enough solder there where it should be okay. Okay. Last night, the ring's in the pickle, but last night I cut a little dome here, or it's not a dome yet, but it's an oval disc that I was going to use to solder to the top. But now I'm kind of wanting to actually put a different color metal on there, and I really don't want to spend the money putting gold, which I have a little bit of gold, but I'm trying to decide if I want to use this or I want to put a piece of bronze. I really like Rio's bronze. I think I have a sheet of it here somewhere. And I'm trying to decide if I want to put that on there and then somehow maybe put bronze on the bottom of the ring. I have a thing of Mokame here. I have a lot of Mokame scraps. So let me see. I used to have... I do actually have... This is a whole milled out 18 to 16 gauge billet of bronze and sterling. So I could actually use that on the bottom of the ring. I thought about putting Mokame on the top of the ring, but this stone is so busy and the design I want to do on the top is so busy that I kind of want to leave the metal fairly simple. So I think I may put this on the bottom, which would be kind of like a little hidden whatever on the bottom. And then I could also texture it from the back with something and kind of give it a pattern so it has a specific pattern when I file it down. I don't know. I really like Mokame. You kind of have to play around with it. These are all really old. Okay, anyway. So I went to lunch, and my problem with... I'll set these kind of right here. My problem... I got this domed up. The problems that I was going to have with setting this oval on top of this and soldering it down was that I wasn't going to be able to hammer this bezel the way I needed to and then I think it would have collapsed the oval, basically. So I had a few options. One of the options was I was going to cut this thing down and then solder little tabs on this side and the other side, and then when I was done, I could rivet the whole thing together with a rivet to the middle. I could do that, but I don't really think I want to have a seam showing from the outside, and you'd never, if I can't rivet it from all four sides, you kind of always run the risk of having a little bit of a black seam. It's not really a seam, but it's like the space between the top and the bottom. So I think what I'm going to do instead is actually, I'm looking at my drawings here, I think I'm actually going to solder a oval band in here, and I'm going to actually set this down in, almost like I'm bezel setting the metal. So I'll be able to solder this to this, do whatever I need to do to this, hammer the stone in place, and then the nature of my design on this piece is it's gonna have these little, and I'll draw them here so you can see them. If I can find my pen. Where'd my pen go? I'm gonna have these little cutouts. My Sharpie's missing. I'm going to have cutouts that I'm gonna drill a series of holes and have cutouts running up the top. So in essence, this whole top is kind of have slots cut into it, so it's actually going to almost be like 8 to 10 prongs on the top anyway, wide prongs. So when I stick this in there, I should be able to just go in, it'll rest on the lip that I've created, and then I can go in and push all these into place, and hopefully that'll, you know, hold it in place. I could, I guess, take it somewhere, excuse me, I guess I could take it somewhere and have it welded into place. That's an option too. So I kind of need to consider all that before I go much further. I'm not going to put bronze and mocha on the bottom. I just decided to keep it all silver because the design I'm going to carve into this thing is so complicated. I don't want it to interfere with the pattern and all that stuff. So I'll be back in a few minutes.